Typically when somebody talks about a photo album, it's a book with a bunch of blank pages that you can go ahead and take your photographs and paste them in an organized manner on those blank pages, so later on you can go ahead and flip through those pages and reminisce about all the fun times that you've had. Here I'm going to show you how you can create a photo album electronically in PowerPoint. Basically you'll have an image for each slide, or you can have two images for each slide. In any case, let me show you how to do it. Come up here, click on the Insert tab, go to the Images group, and there you go, Photo Album. Go ahead and click on it. Opens it up. The first question that we want to answer is, where are the images? Is it on my computer or on a disk, like a CD or a DVD? In any case, to go out and get your images, go ahead and click on the File Disk button, click on it. If it's on a disk, go ahead and be sure to stick that disk in your drive there on your computer, and then come over here in the navigation pane, click on Computer, then come over here to the right side and select your drive that has the disk in it. And then click on Insert. It should open up the disk, give it a few seconds, and then browse through it, find your images, and then go ahead and select them and click Insert. I'm going to go ahead and click the back arrow, and I'm going to take my images from the Sample Pictures folder. So all you have to do is go ahead and select one, click on Insert. That's going to be the first slide that has an image within the presentation, or my photo album. If I have more, click on File Disk, and instead of selecting one at a time and clicking Insert, if you have a lot within the same folder here, go ahead and select one, hold down the Control key, select two, select three, so you can go ahead and select multiple images by holding down that Control key, and then click Insert, and well, there we go. Then all you have to do is go ahead and click Create, and voila! They've inserted all the images that we've selected, and the first slide is the title slide saying, okay, this is the photo album. How did it know that it was me? Well, it pulled it in from a place. Let me take you to it. Come up here, click on the File tab, to the Options, come up here, and by default the General tab selected, so just go over here and it says username. There it is. It pulled it in from there. And so obviously if you want your name to automatically populate when you create a photo album that it's by you, then be sure to do this first. Now notice that it says up at the top here that it's to personalize your copy of Microsoft Office, not PowerPoint. So what you type in here will update all the other Office applications that you have, like Access, Excel, Outlook, Word. So by the same token, if you go into Word and you do the same thing, File to Options, General tab, come down in here and update the username, it'll also update it here in PowerPoint. Okay, so go ahead and type in your username and your initials, click OK, and it'll automatically populate when you create your new photo album here. Now if you need to make any changes or find out what other options there are available, then come back up here, click on the Insert tab to the Images group, click on the Photo Album drop-down arrow and go to Edit. A couple of options that we've got is you can have them displayed all in black and white. Check that and then click Update. It won't automatically update, you can't see it over in here, but after you click on it, there you go, you can see that it's in black and white. Oh, that's fancy. Let's click on the drop-down arrow, go back to Edit, and let's uncheck that. Other options like, if I don't want tulips to be the last slide, I can go ahead and select it and bump it up by clicking that up arrow a couple of times. And then if I want to remove one, like chrysanthemum, select it, click Remove, and it's gone. Okay, let's see, lighthouse. Let me select that one. You can see over here in the preview window that when I come down here, and let's say that I want to flip my image, flip it so it's vertical here, or I can flip it back. You also have contrast and brightness. If I want to go ahead and click on it several times to really bleach it out and say, oh, it was such a sunny day, look how bright it was. You've got those options, and then down below you've got the picture layout. By default, it's going to take any image that you bring in and fit it to the size of the slide. Okay, so if it's a small one, it'll stretch it, and if the image is really small and it stretches it, it may distort it. In any case, you can click on the drop-down arrow, and instead of having it fit two slides, you can just say one picture per slide, so it won't stretch the image to fit the slide. And of course the other options are 2 pictures per slide, 4 per slide, or a picture with the title. So let's go ahead and select 2 pictures per slide with the title. So notice back up here how we've got the first slide with 2 images, and it'll also have a title on it. And then the second slide, well, we don't have more images. If there was another one, then both images would be on that slide with the title. And then before we click Update, let's go ahead and look at the frame shape. By default, you can see in the preview window that the images are going to have pointed edges here. I can click on the drop-down arrow and say that I want rounded edges. You can see it rounds it. And let's go ahead before we do any more and click Update and see what that looks like. Okay, so we still have our title slide. When I go to the next slide, we've got 2 images per slide, but we also have the title that we can type in and say, okay, these are the favorite places that we've been to in 2004. I mean, whatever makes sense, the images down below that your audience is looking at, okay? And then of course the next slide, we only had one image left, so it put it over here and we bleached it, and we've got the title there as well. Let's go ahead and click on the drop down arrow, go back to edit, and let's go back to fit to slide. And then when I do that, notice how it adds a text box here. Let me go ahead and remove that because I don't want that. But if I want to go ahead and add a text box before a slide, because now I have one per slide, like let's say, let me select desert and then click on new text box. It'll have a slide with a text box that you can type text into. So when you're going through your presentation, you'll come to this slide and you'll have the text maybe explaining something that they'll be looking at in the next slide. So let's go ahead and select that. And then before we go ahead and click update, let's look at some themes. Click on the browse button. In other words, themes are various formats that you can apply to a slide, like a different background color, font, and so on. In any case, let me select that one. Now, by the way, if you can't see the thumbnails here, let me come up here in the command bar and click on the more options drop down arrow, and it's like in details and you can't see, well, what the heck is angles? What does that look like? Then come back up here, click on the drop down arrow and say, well, let's go for something large. Then you can see the theme, the colors that will be applied, the background color, the type of font that will be used. Go ahead and double click on it. Let's go ahead and click update, and then all those slides that doesn't have an image on it, well, that the image takes up the entire slide, you won't see the theme. But for these two slides, like the title slide and the text box slide that comes before the last one, you'll see the theme, and it's a text box, so you can click right where it says, text box, and then let's go ahead and delete that. Then you can type in the text of, well, whatever works for you in your photo album. Maybe it's the text before you go to the next slide, describing what the audience is about to see. A beautiful lighthouse where your mother and I met. Woo woo. In any case, one last thing that I want to show you is that, you know how we had titles for our slides? If you don't want a title for your slide, but an image over to the left-hand side, and then a text box to the right-hand side of it, because you want to add more text than just having the title up at the top. Now let's go ahead and click on Photo Album, go back to Edit. And to do this, let me go ahead and get rid of this text box here, remove, okay? I'm going to go back to 2 pictures per slide. Okay, so we got 2 here. And what I'm going to do is click on New Text Box, select it, click on the up arrow, and notice now that it's saying that it's 2 pictures per slide, but one of them is going to be a picture and the other one's going to be a text box. So if I go ahead and click on Add Another Text Box, then let me select that one and go down. So on slide 2, see if this is making sense now, if we got a pattern. Basically for each slide I've got an image and a text box, an image and a text box. Slide 3 now just has an image, and because I have the layout for 2 pictures per slide, well, not necessarily 2 pictures, but meaning that one can be a text box and the other one can be a picture. That's just going to be by itself unless I click on New Text Box. So now I have an image for each slide on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side I've got the text box. Okay, go ahead and click Update. Hey, let's go to slide 2, and there you go. Come over here. Got a lot of room here in that text box to type in a lot of text about what your audience is looking at here. Then when you're done, be sure to save your work. Come up here, click Save. Let's go to my desktop, to my exercises folder, and, photo album's fine, click Save.